Can you send it by email?
Maybe a bit difficult on this thing that my email isn't set up. So much for the quick start. Welcome, listeners of Illusion, to Temporal Discussion, the episode-by-episode Nightmare Retrospective podcast. I'm Martin Odoni, and I am kicking Helmet.
And I'm Kim Stewart-Crossley, and I am kicking myself for some reason. I don't know what yet.
That's a bit non-committal.
Just like me, then.
Mr. H isn't here this week, you might have noticed, so once again, the really talented presenter is taking over.
But I'm not.
I was going to say it's sleeves up time in response to that, but as you may notice, I'm actually wearing a T-shirt, so it doesn't really work.
Yeah, that's a wonderful joke for an audio medium.
It is, yeah. Today, we'll be taking a look at Series 6, Episode 3, which originally aired on CITV on Friday, the 25th of September, 1992. Ebenezer Good by The Shaman remained at number 1 in the singles charts, and the number 1 film was The Unforgiven.
I have not seen this movie.
Neither have I. I'm not sure how much use we're going to be.
The film stars Clint Eastwood, Morgan Freeman, and Gene Hackman. It's a brooding, character-driven western that rejects romantic frontier mythology in favour of a grim, morally tangled portrait of justice and retribution. Actually sounds quite good. The story centres on William Money, a once notorious killer turned struggling hog farmer who reluctantly takes on a bounty to avenge a brutal attack on a prostitute in the town of Big Whiskey. Joined by his old partner Ned Logan and a brash young gun calling himself the Schofield Kid, Money confronts not only the violent men they're hunting, but also ruthless Sheriff Little Bill Daggett, whose own brand of order is as cruel as the outlaws he condemns. The film's somber tone, unflinching look at violence, and powerful performances, especially from Eastwood and Hackman, earned it critical acclaim and 4 Academy Awards, including Best Picture and Best Director. I have heard of it, and I know that it won a lot of Academy Awards, but you know what? I might watch this film because it does actually sound quite good.
Temporal Discussion brings you the latest news from 1992.
Well, being 1992, a natural disaster is the big feature. On the 20th of September, the French public voted in favour of the Maastricht Treaty in a referendum, making the treaty signed earlier in the year binding in French law. Also in France, a couple of days later, there came the natural disaster when there was a violent storm and subsequent awful floods that took a combined total of 64 lives. More farcically, the day before this week's episode of Nightmare aired, David Mellor, do you remember him?
I do.
He was forced to resign from his government role as Heritage Minister after it was discovered that he'd had an extramarital affair.
The criminal record?
Absolutely not.
Oh, come on, Baldrick, you're going to be an MP, for God's sake. I'll just put fraud and sexual deviance.
I recall the story that he was wearing a Chelsea shirt in bed with his mistress got into the newspapers. There was a Chelsea fan on the radio that weekend on BBC Any Questions, and he made some remark about the story being implausible because, paraphrasing from very old memory here, as soon as anyone puts on a Chelsea shirt, he loses all his capacity for vigour, all his powers of creativity, any degree of potency, and all his ability to score.
You know what? I'm inclined to agree with all of that.
Yeah, I would agree with it. It wasn't actually funny, but I would agree with it.
And now time turns. The recording light burns. Timeout is gone. The podcast is on.
Greetings, watchers. Quickly now and quietly to your places, for the fun is just about to start. I'm sorry to report the first mission into the dungeon fell during the last phase, giving victory to Lord Fear. But the next has begun well enough and continues. The Book of Quests, Pickle, and tell us who carries the challenge onward.
This quest is for the Shield Master, and 4 from London have become the Shield Maidens. Their dungeoneer is Sumayya, while its advisors with us are Raminda, Carmony, and Zarminah. Nothing carried, no spells or charms, Master. However, they have an ally in the shape of Hordris's daughter, Sidris. She'll do them no harm.
Unless by accident. The trouble is, she's accident-prone. Oh, well, what will be will no doubt be. Game on.
I do think this was the season more than any other when Traegar's beard was allowed to grow too thick. It makes him look top heavy. The weight of it almost seems to make him stoop more.
It's not something I've really thought about, but I think that this was also the season where Dungeoneers started to get quite a lot taller as well. So I don't know whether it was just weight of beard or weight of kids being taller than Traegard.
If the Dungeoneers are taller, he wouldn't have to look down as much, so he'd stoop even less.
Mm-hmm.
The thickness of the beard, it's like having David Bellamy introducing Nightmare, and it just doesn't really work. Welcome, Watchers of Illusion.
Protect your nose, reach for the sword. Ah, what a lovely spell.
No, I kind of get it. It's like a strong beard is a good thing, but there is too much of a good thing.
Yes, I think this was the point where it crossed the line.
Yes.
The intro this week was harmless, but it's also, I think, very, very generic. It's one where there is absolutely no quotable lines in it at all. It's going back to the sort of repetitiveness of the first season. I don't know, were Hugo and David just not in the right frame of mind to improvise? Or
I always like the improvisation. Is it producer meddling, like you must stick to this script, perhaps?
in some ways, it's not necessarily that bad a thing, because a lot of the time when they're improvising, they can be a little bit irritating. But it's a sort of intro you'd get in a computer game of Nightmare. It's just trying to be as vague and general as it can.
Bland and repeatable and yeah.
Yeah, that sort of thing, yeah.
Hey, this is really good. You stay there. I'll just look round. Don't tell me. You're on a quest, aren't you?
Yes, that's right.
One of those Dungeoneer people.
Yes.
Oh, and you get to pick up objects like these.
Sidrus leads Sumayya out of the dwarf tunnels and into some castle ruins, which are being used as a clue room today. Thinking it's a mirror, Sidrus picks up a spyglass.
It's not a very good mirror, I must say. Well, it doesn't work. Oh, yes, it does. Oh, how interesting.
Hans, I can't tell you how gratifying it is to view you through a watery environment. It's almost as if, perish the thought, you had decided to take a bath. But no, you're still as deliciously grimy as ever.
Oh, thank you, Lordship, sir. We aims to please, you know. I don't know what to say.
Well, don't say anything, Hans. Just shut up and listen if your ears are clean enough for the words to get through. Well, from now on, I've decided to take the war against the powers that be right to their own threshold. No more let the little darlings have a nice time in level 1 and then stick it to them in level 2. Oh, no. No more Mr. Nice Guy. I've declared open season on all adventurers, and especially Dungeoneers. So get out there and kick helmet.
Yes, sir. Of course, sir. But what's the threshold?
It's a doorstep, Hans. It's specially designed for wiping dirty feet on. It's a bit like your face, Hans. Now go away, Hans. What have we here? It's that little trainee sorcerette. Want a good look, do you? Well, you're going to get one.
Then this is awful, Master. Sidrus is frozen. Sumayya can get away, but sooner or later one of Lord Fear's henchmen is going to come and grab poor old Sidrus.
Yes, I'm afraid this is pretty serious. Sidrus is the only daughter of Hordris the Confuser. Although strictly speaking, Hordris is non-aligned, most of the time he takes our side. But with Sidrus taken hostage, Lord Fear could force Hordris to help him. And if that happens, well, you don't stand a ghost of a chance to getting to level 3 or recovering the shield. As a matter of urgency, you must find something or somebody to rescue Sidrus. Still, first things first. Which of those objects do you think are most useful?
Is this the only example of an NPC using a spyglass?
To the best of my memory, I think so.
Hiya, listeners of Illusion. We were talking on the previous season about scene-setting spyglass sequences and information-giving spyglass sequences, and how the former really evolved into the latter as spyglasses found their place on Nightmare during Series 5. This really is a unique spyglass sequence because it isn't either of those things, scene setting or information giving really, but rather part of the plot. It's here so that Sidrus gets frozen by Lord Fear and Sumayya's level 1 has a task to complete. It's not setting a scene we're not already familiar with by this stage, and it's not saying anything specific about Sumayya's quest. There's no information Sumayya can use on her quest from the content of the actual spyglass sequence. It's just an entertaining scene between Lord Fear and Sylvester Hands. Did you hear the inverted commas I put on entertaining there? That's because I'm not sure how I feel about it, whether it is really entertaining. So I'll leave that entirely up to you to decide. CITV certainly found this spyglass sequence useful for their trailers coming up in September, a new series of Nightmare, and Tommy Boyd...
Tommy Boyd! Tommy Boyd! Tommy Boyd!
spent some time perfecting, or at least working on, his impression of Lord Fear saying, "No more Mr. Nice Guy." And that's about as useful as this spyglass sequence has ever been to anyone, beyond the practical part that's played in Sumayya's quest by Sidrus getting frozen at the end of it.
Kick helmet is a term from Lord Fear that I'm surprised has made very little impact on Nightmare fan pop culture.
I don't know, it's kind of clumsy, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit, but it's memorable. On the other hand, when Fear says "no more Mr. Nice Guy," that is such a cliche. I mean, totally unworthy of Mark Knight, surely.
Yeah.
That feels like something they'd be saying on the A-Team in about 1982, and this was 1992.
Yes, is the genericness pervading, do you think?
Yeah.
The remaining items on the table are a shaker of salt, a horn, and a bar of gold. Without any other clues, they take the horn and the gold.
I think we should take you out now.
Yeah. Okay.
Turn around 90 degrees to your right. You're going up some stairs now. A staircase.
Through the ice shield.
A clue room with no clues? Well, maybe a clue from the spyglass, but seems a bit weird.
It's a clue room like the level 2 clue room was in the first few seasons. You got clues in the first level clue room, but then every level after that, you just had to figure it out for yourself.
I still miss the wall monsters.
Oh, I do too. We got blockers this year, which is better than nothing, but it's not the same, is it?
It's not. So they leave, and it's that painfully long passive path up the stairs that takes in the view of the castle moat. It amuses me every time. We're walking, oh, look at that, that's pretty. Okay, we're walking. Especially when they're using it to run away from something.
A very productive form of retreat, isn't it?
Isn't it? We'll just take in the view. So the footage seems a little clearer than it did last series. Pickle and the team seem genuinely concerned that Sumayya might actually jump out of the window and into the water below.
It is a bit concerning with ice shield sequences when advisors genuinely think that they're watching an on-location live feed and not just camcorder footage. I appreciate teams becoming immersed, but really? You actually think this is literally happening?
Oh, I quite like it. I love the immersion bit, mainly because I get the feeling that that would be me. I would just get so caught up in it. I'd just look like a bit of an idiot, really. Well, more of an idiot.
In that case, you're no longer a fool, which is a shame, really, because there's more wisdom and foolish wit than ever you can imagine.
Okay, so where do we end up after the passive path, then?
Probably in the next episode, given how long it took. We wind up in what's called the Pentagram Courtyard. I've got a couple of things to say about this, but let's find out what the, quote, action is all about before we get to it.
You're in a room surrounded by walls which has got staircase and a doorway, and in the middle is a circle with numbers in it and a triangle, and there's a woman standing there placing some objects around it, thinking where to put them.
Oh, no, Master, it's Alita, the Cavern Elf. She's as much use as a sieve in a storm, if you ask me.
Pickle?
Yes?
Shut up, Pickle, and leave it to Sumayya and the girls.
The team describe a circle with a triangle in it. That's actually a pentagram, hence the name Pentagram Courtyard. There are several markings on it that are difficult to make out, but some of them appear to be Roman numerals. Sumayya calls out to Alita to get her attention.
Hello? Put a cork in it, will you? This is a really serious ritual. I've got all the ingredients, and I don't need a noisy, smelly human being. So stomp off!
Sumayya, say to her, if I can help you. Ask her.
Okay, can I help you then? What would I need help for? I think the way you're standing there, you're more in need of help than I am.
Sumayya asks what's wrong, but Alita is reluctant to tell her. Sumayya asks for help herself, saying that she's a Dungeoneer on a quest for the shield. She tells Alita they need to rescue Sidris, who has been frozen solid by Lord Fear.
Did you say Sidris?
Yes.
You mean Hordress's dizzy daughter? Well, I'm not surprised she's in a mess. Wouldn't know a charm from a spell, that one.
Now, what is a charm really?
By reading this.
Yes?
So, a charm is generally an object or subtle magical effect that passively carries power. Something like an amulet for protection or a spell that makes something glow or move without fundamentally changing what it is. While a spell is the active act of casting magic through words, gestures, rituals to produce a specific outcome. In practice, charms tend to sit in the background once created, quietly influencing luck, safety, behaviour, whatever it's there for, whereas spells are absolutely deliberate moment-to-moment actions that cause something to happen right then and there. All charms fall under the broader umbrella of spells, but not all spells are charms. Charms enhance while spells enact.
You are incredibly pedantic, Mr. H. Anyway, Alita laments that she can't help free Sidris. Only Hordress is powerful enough for that. And to find him, Sumayya will need to buy a summoning charm. But she can help the Dungeoneer to get across the causeway. She tells Sumayya to take the uneven path.
Now, I'm sorry the stupid girl's got herself into trouble, but that said, it's really none of my business. So why don't you push off?
Okay, thank you anyway.
Alita's always been my favourite elf in Nightmare, partly because her insults are a nice throwback to Cedric, but also, the more you see her, you start to realise that her abrasiveness is really just an act, and that deep down she's got a fairly kind nature. You get a glimpse of that kind of side in this. When she tries to figure out a way Sumayya can help Sidris, you can tell she's genuinely hopeful that Sidris can be rescued. But once she's handed over the information, of course, she returns to her veneer of nastiness to make it look like she doesn't really care. But she does, though. We know she does.
We do, and this is the bit of Alita that I like, because she used to really annoy me. She was proper wound me up, actually, because I don't like nastiness. I get the insults, and I get the throwback to Cedric, because same sort of thing. But when she started being a little bit kinder and then flipping back, that was when I started to appreciate her a little bit more.
That tendency to swing from one way to the other also makes her a bit unpredictable.
Yeah, both sides of the coin, isn't she?
Yeah, so you're never completely sure whether you can trust her or not. And I think that's part of the interest. So I certainly find her a hell of a lot less annoying than Pickle.
I quite like Pickle.
Pickle's enthusiastic boy act is a bit...
Well, he's just a golden Labrador, isn't he?
Yeah.
Love that.
He literally wants to go and fetch the Dungeoneers and bring them into the...
Oh, yeah.
Pickle, either return at once or stay out of this adventure.
Oh, Master, you're such a killjoy. Oh, still you are the Dungeon Master. Why?
The team guides Sumayya out via a passive path. Now, the reflections I've got on the pentagram room, or pentagram courtyard as it's called here, it's a chamber that saddens me because you can see so much potential in this location for some kind of real dungeon puzzle just from the shape of it and the features in the walls.
Yeah.
But none of that is ever tapped into. The series by now is becoming a full-on roleplay rather than a puzzle adventure. And so floor puzzles are becoming much more intermittent in an attempt to speed things up. And I can't help feeling the series didn't understand its own strengths when it did that. So in the end, the location is used pretty much entirely for scenery. You know, even the pentagram itself is only there for Alita to make it look like she's doing something important. You know, I can't help feeling that is a classic example of a room that's just gone to waste.
I entirely agree. I began to lose interest a little bit in Nightmare, but I picked it back up again, simply because I love the show. But the floor puzzles being minimised, and in fact all puzzles being minimised, just made me sad. It really did.
The first 3 seasons, there was a puzzle in almost every chamber, and so that meant there was a danger at all times. That just isn't happening by season 6. In fact, it wasn't even happening in season 5.
I think they tried to speed it up so much it became too fast, because I liked being in the puzzle with the team, going, oh, that's what you need to do, even when they hadn't quite got it, because, you know, they're under pressure and we're not. And it just saddens me that we lost all of that moment of being immersed with them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
By making it faster for the watchers, I try to emphasise the quote marks there, for the watchers, they actually ended up making it less interesting for us in a way.
Yeah, it was less scary.
Yeah, and that was the thing. It should have been hard. It should have been scary. It always was.
I appreciate the argument that's sometimes raised, which was when I was watching the first 3 seasons, I was aged 12 to 14, whereas by the time of season 6 came round, I'd already done my exams, and so by that age, I was less prone to fear.
But I was a lot younger, and I still wasn't scared by this.
It was less scary because there were long spells on each level where there just wasn't any threats. They could have done so much with this chamber, like I say. You look at all the different nooks and crannies in it, the recess in one of the walls. There's so much they could have done with it.
Characters pop out from somewhere if they're going to do the role play.
Absolutely.
I absolutely get it.
Yeah.
There should still be the fear. I'm aware that we're not ever going to have, wombles with mops on their heads anymore, so I was never going to be scared again. But
you need to be a little bit when it's Nightmare.
You should be, exactly.
It should be able to point out the next room is a causeway, and that's the only floor puzzle you'd get on most levels in season 6, which is one of the problems with it. But also, they're so repetitive.
Yeah.
This business of dumbing down and removing the scares from Nightmare really has become a recurring discussion on Series 6 of Temporal Discussion, and I do find it very interesting. I hope you do too, listeners. At the age of 9, I wasn't scared by this season either. In fact, to tell you the truth, I hadn't really been scared by Nightmare since I was 5. Series 2 was the last time I was really scared of the show in any way, but of course we all react to and engage with these things in our own very personal ways. But the thing I think draws all Nightmare fans together, whether they're scared or not, whether they mind if they're scared or not, is, as Martin H. was saying on the previous episode, Nightmare is incredibly exciting, and it can still be incredibly exciting at this stage and beyond. Not that this particular episode is exciting in any way, I wouldn't claim that. The really exciting bits of Series 6 are still to come, but they are coming, and that's the magic of Nightmare. I'm reminded once again of Hugo Myatt in his interview in the Eye Shield fanzine, saying the thing about Nightmare's success is the ability of the show to excite viewers was paramount, and isn't he absolutely right about that? Well, yes, he is actually. So whether or not you feel that Nightmare is being dumbed down at this stage, it's not scary enough, and you mind about that, it's not as scary as it used to be, but you don't mind about that, like me, I'm sure you're looking forward to those exciting times that are coming. And that reminds me of what I was saying on the previous episode about the first passage of this series being rather flat. And a little bit later I'm going to tell you where I think it's going to stop being flat and start getting rather exciting. In the meantime, before we turn our backs on this Elita appearance and forget all about it completely, I'll just mention that this room, the Pentagram Courtyard, is the room from Caerphilly Castle that we saw quite a lot in Series 5, but shot from a different angle. And I mentioned that somewhere on Series 5. You see it once in Series 6, but from a different angle. You know the room, listeners. The one that had the sky hook, or possibly a wooden beam going all across the top for a rope to hang down during Ben's quest in Series 5. Duncan lit it up with a candle. Alex turned Sylvester Hands into a hobgoblin there. It's the same room, but seen in a slightly different way. Also, here's a question directly from me to you, listeners, in response to the scene we've just had. What do you think of Elita's new costume? It's pretty unusual for a 2-season, exactly, no more, no less, character to have a change of costume, a complete change of costume like this. Gumboil has a different uniform in his 2 series and the same helmet in both series. Megiddo has basically the same costume in Series 8 that she had in Series 7, but the material is a different colour. Other than that, you do tend to see pretty much exactly the same costume in both seasons on an exactly 2-season character, but certainly not in the case of Elita. When I first saw this new costume of hers, my brain thought, aha, well, that's a good elf costume, isn't it? All those leaves, I can see why they've done that. But half a moment's further thought led me to realise, well, it's a wood elf costume, isn't it? And Elita is a cavern elf. So actually, that's not a very good costume for her, all those leaves. I do much prefer her Series 5 costume as a cavern elf costume. I expect we'll come back to that point later on in this season, listeners. But in the meantime, that's enough of me for now. Let's get on with this episode, shall we?
Where am I? You're in a room with hexagons in it, and it's got numbers on. And in front of you, there's a door where you have to get out from.
Well, Master, there's a path across the causeway, but that Fright Night looks menacing.
Yes, this is one of Lord Fear's nastier games. When the sword of the Fright Night reaches the red dot, parts of the causeway will fall away.
Remember the uneven, he said.
Yeah.
The uneven path.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
Yeah. Okay, so uneven
so
numbers.
Odd numbers.
Yeah, Sumayya? Yeah. Move slightly to your right. So we can
Okay,
see
take a
the
small
numbers.
step to your right, another one. Okay, that's it.
Okay,
I'll do it now.
I think number 3 and then number 5.
The Fright Night sword is moving, Master.
Okay, walk forward.
Walk forward.
Stepping on the numbers that I think are gonna hold. My every single move is a story to be told. Stepping on a wrong hex now. Gonna plummet down somehow. Ooh, nasty. Yeah! I'm losing it again!
The guidance from Trey on a Pickle is very perfunctory here, isn't it? Because there really isn't any guidance needed.
No, they got the path.
Just cross the causeway.
Yeah. So the team are a little hesitant on the causeway, but they make it across in roughly 3 moves. Good work, go team.
I actually don't think they do look very particularly hesitant. There was a slightly awkward moment right at the beginning, but once they got into their stride, which was pretty quickly, they handled it pretty smoothly.
Yeah.
But then they should, because it's not that difficult.
So they leave the causeway and they end up in Wolfenden.
Where am I? You're in a town, and there's a woman on the right of you, and she's looking in some buckets.
Okay, so
Lola.
And there's a man coming now with a trolley.
Happy Cosmo come to glorious mobile emporium of humble servant walk.
Problematic Wolfenden trader. Shouldn't really have been played by a guy who is white. Our walk's giving aid. Problematic Wolfenden trader. Our walk. Our walk's giving aid. A problematic Wolfenden trader. Our walk giving aid.
Arwok notices Sumayya and leads her up to his store, or his cart, as they're more normally called, as someone wanders through the background of the scene to speak to a woman looking for a barrel. Sumayya asks if Arwok has a summoning spell.
What? Funny you asked that. I've got a summon spell. Yeah, I've got that. But it's very big magic. I don't know if I said a small person like you. It's so big, it's about this big. Oh, you can't see what I do. Never mind, it's no matter. But it's bigger than you, all right?
Okay.
So I don't know. I have to think about that one.
She offers Arwok the bar of gold in exchange for a summoning spell. Not really sure how or why gold has become such a valuable trading commodity in the dungeon dimension, considering it's generally just left lying around on tables all the time and appears to be in plentiful supply. But Arwok seems interested anyway. No one mentions to Scaramanga et al. That they can get rich quick just by looking on a table.
I know, right? Maybe they're just not finding the right tables.
It must be, yeah. There must be a very specific type of table you have to look on, and nobody has told any of the dungeon characters which one it is.
Yeah.
It has to be said, that is not the only thing wrong with this scene.
Yeah.
Well, I'll think about it. All right, I've had a think.
Yeah.
What, your name?
Sumayya.
Of course you're somewhere. You're here. Well, you ask me a question like that, I don't know how to answer. My name is Arwok. How you do?
I'm fine.
Oh, that's good. All right, then. I'll think about it somewhere, and I'll tell you. I'll give you a spell, you give me go.
Quick note to Sumayya, the correct response to how do you do is not fine. In fact, it's actually how do you do as well.
Oh, well, I'm a Geordie, so it's fine.
The girls ain't having it, and they insist I'll give them the spell first. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that they're taking control of the situation a bit there. It makes them seem a bit more proactive, and it means they're not letting the con man con them. So bonus points to you for that.
Indeed.
Oh, all right, I'll give you a spell first.
Yeah.
You trust me later. Now, here we go. First of all, you got to turn the long way around the clock. A long way, yeah?
Yes.
And then you say, Marrowfat, Marrowfat, Marrowfat. 3 times. You got it?
Marrowfat.
All right. Now you give me go.
Yep.
Oh, that's
Okay.
very good.
Thank you for your help.
Oh, that's my pleasure. It's so nice to meet a polite young person nowadays. That's very good. I see you somewhere.
Okay. Goodbye.
Goodbye. That's a marvellous name, that's somewhere.
And the team take Sumayya out of the courtyard onto the Narcs area, and the familiar old alleyway ice shield sequence from last season is used again, and takes too long, as usual.
As usual.
You're walking down a little alley with houses on both the left-hand side and right-hand side, and you're approaching green flat land. And then to your left, there's another alleyway, and there's also a door, which you're
we're
walking
going
through now. Stop. You're on some flat land right now, on some grass, and in front of you is a white house, old-fashioned house. And then quite a bit down on the house is a door.
Well, this looks more promising. Plenty of open space and quite deserted.
The team takes Sumayya through the steps of the spell, including repeating the calling name that they were given, but something goes wrong, and it's something, sadly, that we really need to address.
Marrowfat, Marrowfat, Marrowfat.
Well, doesn't seem to be working, Master.
What about that Chinese man's accent? I mean, he kept on saying R too many times, so he might have mixed.
So what
Very
about
carefully.
Malafat? Malafat?
Malafat.
Okay, Sumayya,
Hang on,
say...
tell her first.
Sumayya,
Yeah.
do you know the Chinese man accent?
Yeah.
He said his R's, yeah?
Yeah.
There's too many R's.
So we think it might be Malafat.
We said last time that we're not going to dwell on the issues with our walk, but we feel like we have to talk about this instance. It's one of those moments where the joke and the puzzle collide in a way that feels far more awkward in hindsight than anyone on the production seemed to realise at the time. Our walk's exaggerated accent, which was already a dated, uncomfortable caricature by 1992, becomes mechanically essential to solving the puzzle, since the team is meant to pick up on him saying Malefat 3 times, even though his delivery makes it sound like Marrowfat. It's not just that a white actor is performing a stereotype, it's that the show doubles down by making that stereotype the key to progression, effectively rewarding the audience for laughing at the accent rather than questioning it. There's no malice in it, and you can feel the cast and crew treating it as harmless pantomime, but that is precisely why it lands so heavily now. By the early 90s, British TV should have known better, absolutely, and moments like this underline how casually these tropes were still being used without anyone stopping to ask whether they were fair, respectful, or remotely necessary, even.
Yeah. The problem isn't just the offensiveness, I've said this before, it's also that it encourages lazy thinking in the audience.
It really does.
And it normalizes an idea that people living in the Orient talk in a certain way when actually they don't. I tend to find most Chinese, Japanese, Korean people that I've met, and I've met quite a few, because I work in the security industry, and their part of the world makes an awful lot of the security cameras we sell.
Yes.
The ones that I've met all speak perfect English. In fact, I would say they speak English rather better than many English people do.
Yeah.
It comes across as profoundly insulting and patronizing and condescending.
Malefat, Malefat, Malefat.
How dare you? You impertinent little person. No one, repeat, no one is permitted to summon Hordris the Confuser against his wishes. Especially not in level 1, where the services of an archmage can scarcely be justified. One is leaving now. Never bother one again.
Sumayya, tell him about his daughter.
Sumayya, turn around and
quick.
tell him about his daughter.
Well, your daughter Sindris, she's frozen still.
Sidris? Did I hear Sidris?
Which way?
Tell me.
It's okay.
Sumayya explains to the gigantic apparition of Hordris what happened, and Hordris asks her to describe where Sidris is. With the help of her teammates, Sumayya describes the clue room and what's in it. Hordris thanks Sumayya by giving her the blocker password, Paladin, and telling her not to hurt Smirkanov's feelings and that dragons are categorized by colour.
I must go now. Impetus! Kadan!
Sumayya, walk forward. Quickly.
It's strangely meta hearing the Dungeoneer describing a room to a non-player character, especially starting with the words, she's in a room. That's quite a nice touch.
Do you know what, though? As a puzzle, I know we've kind of dinged on this quite heavily for the lack of puzzles. I quite like this. Like, the Dungeoneer obviously hasn't seen the room, but has to translate from the advisors. I like that.
Yeah, it's real teamwork, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're in a room with arches in it, and there's an exit, and on the floor, it looks like a fish.
Yeah. Can you see it, Sumayya?
Yes, I can.
I think you should pick it up and put it in knapsack. In your knapsack.
All in all, you're just another face in a wall. All in all, you're just another face in a wall.
Password.
Sumayya.
Yeah.
Say Paladin.
Paladin.
Now quickly walk forward. Stop. Do some side steps to your right.
This is just a standard blocker room. Nothing much to talk about, other than the blocker glitches slightly as it is moving forward, just before it asks for the password.
Also, poor Sumayya never really knows what's going on in the room, as the advisors never mentioned to her that blockers appeared.
No.
Where am I?
You're in a room, and in front of you is some metal doors, and then covered around the room is a wood house.
What should we do? Just walk forward. Okay. Sumayya, walk forward. Okay, stop. Turn to your left. Okay, stay still.
Right.
Sumayya, it's the dragon.
It's Smirkanov, right enough. But Smirkanov usually expects a fair master, doesn't he?
The team guide their Dungeoneer onto Smirky's back.
This is really bad, because there's no obstacle of any kind for the end of level, because the gate just opens automatically. And then, when they get onto Smirkanov's back, they even get away with not having a payment to offer him. You know, no tension.
Yeah.
Gently does it, Sumayya, but I think you can approach a little further.
Okay, Sumayya, walk forward. Slowly. Okay, slightly faster.
There we go. That's it.
Okay, stop.
The dragon's looking at you.
Greetings, insignificant human. If I were to inquire what it is you want, please don't assume I'm prepared to meet your wishes. Merely curious, that's all. Well,
okay.
What do you want?
The team instructs Sumayya to politely request transport to level 2, reminding her to say please. Smirky laments that they have no fee, so he decides to test them.
Do you by any chance know which sort of dragons are the finest, flying in all dragondom?
Should we tell it
to you?
Zarminah, I think you know, don't you?
Yeah.
Well, it must be you.
Of course.
Well said.
So basically, once again, we've got a Dungeoneer having to flatten a dungeon character. Mark Wixon from Season 2 must wince at the memories this scene brings back.
You're so beautiful. I love you. You're amazingly young looking.
Smirky tells the Dungeoneer that he just happens to be going in her direction. Oh, how convenient.
I mean that.
Sumayya climbs into the saddle, almost falling off the dragon's back, and Smirkanov takes off.
Can you see the seat? Stop.
Yeah.
Okay, get on it. Slowly. Slowly, Sumayya. Slowly.
Very close to the edge.
Okay. I'm on the seat now.
Okay. Starting to fly.
Believe it or not, I've walked on the scales. I really wish I could see. We're flying so high, I hope we don't fail. Who could this dragon be? Believe it or not, it's murky.
We can see the dragon's head now. He's going across some mountains, deserted land.
Oh, goodness. Time out in midair. That means this flight will just have to continue until the next phase provides a safe landing. Not that any landing in level 2 is that safe. Of course, we've no idea where they'll land, but we do have a pretty fair idea when, don't we? So remember, play we fair, or fear play foul. All begins again at the allotted hour.
As Mr. H has said, you'll notice that I haven't really put any of my own notes on this one. And to be honest, that's mostly because nothing actually happens. Aside from the bit with Arwok, there's nothing noteworthy about this episode in the slightest. I agree completely.
Yeah, it feels, I mean, to go back to what we said at the start, there's a genericness about it.
Yeah, even the dialogue among the characters, as I mentioned in the opening scene, is strangely flat. It's functional and unquotable. There's almost nothing in the way of threat to the quest, despite Lord F's command at the start to take the battle to level 1. It's actually even less happening in level 1 than usual.
Yeah.
And too much time is consumed on Ice Shield footage that could easily have been edited down or played a bit faster on the VCR. I'd say that this is about as generic as an episode of KM can get.
Yeah.
And given the limitless possibilities that KM can offer, being generic is a massive failure. And that's before, of course, we even take into account that this is probably the worst Arwok episode of all.
Yeah, flat.
Flat and a bit of a cutout episode of Nightmare. It could have been done anywhere.
I mean, I would like to remind you all that we actually love this show. It's just every so often there's just an episode where we go, meh.
Quite a lot of them, actually. On Nightmare, I think it's fair to say the whole is often greater than the sum of its parts.
Agreed.
And I think this is definitely one of the ones that brings things down a bit.
It's nothing to do with the team either. It just feels a bit flat. They're doing what they've got to do. And
they're actually quite a good team. As I said earlier, I think they're quite assertive. They've done some things I quite like in it. I just think they're wasted on a quest this basic and unimaginative.
Yeah.
And that's a shame. So, what rating do we give the episode? On the script, I've said I award 4 out of 10. I have a feeling I may be a bit too generous with that, but I'm going to stick with 4 out of 10.
I'd be inclined to agree. I love Nightmare, so it gets a 4 out of 10. But also, this episode gets 4 out of 10.
Everything was just so you could have found it anywhere else-ish.
So, meh.
But there's nothing to dwell on, really. You know, the blocker room kind of summed up the episode. Just they were there.
And then they were somewhere else.
They said a word, and then they walked out.
Sometimes they remember to describe it.
It was just one of the least commentable episodes I've ever seen.
Indeed.
And that's depressing.
Yeah, this is an episode that never gets out of bottom gear, isn't it? And it doesn't try to get out of bottom gear, which is a bit of a shame because it contributes a lot to this flat start to the series. When are things actually going to start getting exciting in Series 6? Well, I think we hit high gear towards the end of episode 6 as Alan flirts with the beginning of level 3, and then we're not really going to hit top gear until episode 10 when Ben gets into level 3. And yeah, it has to be said, there's quite a lot of flat along the way. My favourite part of this particular episode, in case you're interested listeners, is Hordris turning up all big and translucent. Perhaps because it reminded me in 1992, as it reminds me now, of some of Merlin's most powerful and striking appearances earlier on in the show. I tell you what, listeners, if I could choose one thing that should never have changed in Nightmare, it would be John Woodnutt being around as Merlin, as you may well have worked out if you've listened to me so far on this podcast. So yeah, this was a crappy episode, there's no denying it, but don't let that put you off for next time. In the next episode, you've got Sumayya involved in at least one highly memorable classic Nightmare scene, and you've got me and Amy talking about it on Temporal Discussion. So, what's not to love? In the meantime,
if you've been enjoying the podcast, please leave us a rating and review on your platform of choice. It really helps us grow and reach more people who might enjoy what we're doing.
We're Nightmare Pod on Threads and Twitter.
And you can find us on Instagram at Temporal Discussion. I promise to get a bit more on the ball on the Instagram and start uploading images there. Sorry about that.
You can follow us on Blue Sky at nightmarepod.bsky.social and on Mastodon at topspicy.social/@nightmarepod.
We hate when ads interrupt podcasts, so we're keeping this one ad-free with the help of our supporters on Patreon. You can join them by supporting us at Nightmare Pod.
Speaking of which, here's a shout out to Keepers of the Book of Quests, David N. Rabbit, Paul McIntosh, Peter Paulsford, and Scott Evans, the usual suspects.
Advisors Benjamin Bloom, David Thompson, Kim Harder, Kim Stewart-Crossley, Lord Entropy, where the O is a 0, Paul Craddy, Peter Sidorn, and Pig Venus.
Hello, piggy, piggy, piggy.
And of course, our Dungeoneers Peter Corridge, Dan Heath, and Adam Battersby.
If you'd like to hear your name mentioned on the podcast, support us at Dungeoneer level or above on Patreon.
Patreon supporters also get access to exclusive episodes, merchandise, and if you pledge as a Keeper of the Book of Quests, you'll even get the chance to join us as a guest on the show, if you so wish. All our paid-up members also get access to each episode an entire week before everybody else, or possibly longer.
Our website is nightmarepod.co.uk, and you can find temporal discussion merchandise, including t-shirts, stickers, and more at nightmarepod.redbubble.com.
You can also drop us an email at podcast@nightmarepod.co.uk.
And just keep telling yourself,
it's only a podcast.
Isn't it?
while a spell is